author, Christina Crook.
Christina Crook, welcome.
We want to see each other.
Amazing. Good morning. I have a question for you all this morning. What else could you be doing right now? Right? It's Friday. You could be at the office, but you're not. You've chosen to be here in an extremely remote place. I was reminded of that again yesterday, driving 3.5 hours north. Very remote place without your phones, right? No phones and no access. Why would you choose to take those things out of your life this weekend? Well, probably to put something in their place that you're missing. Something you want. Maybe a person or people. Maybe just the feeling of joy. I want a show of hands. Who here would like to spend more time with these people outside of work? You can be honest. You are already, but yeah. Who is curious? Oh, I have first question before that one. Who thinks they would enjoy 1 hour a week awake without their devices? Okay. Who is curious who they are without their phones? Who would like to spend more time playing? Me too. Is this time well spent right now? How do you know? Well, I am extremely excited to be with you this morning. Like Stephen mentioned, this is my 4th year of Fireside. What he didn't mention is that I'm the author of The Joy of Missing Out. This is the topic, this is what I speak about. And I am just excited to talk to you and incorporate this incredible vision they have around disconnecting to reconnect, right? What an incredible vision. I've heard so many people, even last night, talking about how this is, if it's their first year, I talked to a lot of first years last night, that this is an extremely different kind of tech conference. No lanyards, no, looking to scan if the people are, the people that we want to talk to, that we just approach one another as human beings. And I absolutely love that about Fireside. So who here, how are you doing without your phones, like honestly?
A little shaky.
Little shaky.
Someone waited until last night to send me a really important email.
Oh no, this guy's saying someone waited until way late last night to send an important email.
3 weeks.
Right, yeah. It can take time to adjust when the regular structures of our lives are removed. And I had an experience like that, which is part of what led me to this work of writing and speaking about the joy of missing out. It happened during the last major power outage in Toronto. Was anyone there for that? The last major power outage in Toronto, okay. So we had just moved from Vancouver to Toronto. I'm a Vancouver, anyone from the West Coast? Woo! Yes, so we represent. So we just moved from Vancouver to Toronto, and it was winter. It was probably our second winter in Toronto. And some neighbors had told us, they said, there's a storm coming tonight. And we had laughed it off because it seemed like not a particularly stormy day. We had gone about our regular routine. But as the day progressed, especially into dinner time and into the evening, the weather took a turn for the worst. And if you've been a part of a power outage, you'll know this experience. The house surged into a liquid lull. Blackness filled our cavernous living room like a pot of coffee poured out cold. We went in search of the lone flashlight we knew was stashed in the drawer with the keys, got out the flashlight, went in search of the lone candles, the candles we knew we had kind of sprinkled around the house, gathered those up, lit those. But like I mentioned, it was already evening, and so what are you gonna do? It's pitch black in the house, turned off the light switches as we went, and went off to bed. The next morning, we woke up to the sound of a garbage truck lumbering by. It was extremely loud, because the house was eerily quiet. There was no coffee brewing, there was no sound, because the power was still out. The first one of us began our descent down the old, super creaky Toronto stairs. For those of you know what I'm talking about, ultra creaky, and soon everybody was up and awake. We cobbled together a breakfast of yogurt and granola and whatever we could scrounge up, had some breakfast, and decided, because it was the weekend, that we'd spend the morning, the better part of the morning and the afternoon, sledding. So we put on our snowsuits, bundled up, hauled out our sleds, walked to the local hill, and went sledding. When we got home, as luck would have it, the gas stove was still working. Super helpful in a power outage, actually. So we used the remainder of our milk and warmed up some hot chocolate. And then we gathered together on the living room floor in our house, those few candles burning, to play some board games. There wasn't a lot else to do. The remaining power on the last devices drained out. And as we sat there, our 5-year-old daughter piped up to say what everyone else was thinking, and that was, today was a really good day. When was the last time you felt joy? Are you feeling it right now? Are you feeling it maybe because you're away from your work or your home responsibilities? I am, a little bit. Are you feeling it because you're surrounded by cool people? Like, honestly, look around you. You're surrounded by extremely cool people. Are you feeling it maybe because you're in nature? Like, this is one of the most spectacularly beautiful places. I love coming here every year. Are you feeling it maybe because you're interested in what I have to say? What you might learn this morning, right? When was the last time you felt joy? Where were you? Who were you with? Were you alone? You might have been alone, right? What were you doing? What did it smell like? Maybe it smelled like this, campfire. What did it taste like? What could you smell? What could you hear? When was the last time you felt joy? I want to talk to you this morning about the joy of missing out, but I can't talk to you about that without an understanding of what I mean by the word joy. Now, joy isn't simply happiness or comfort or delight. And I know in this company, delight has a very particular kind of meaning, right? Delighting users, creating addictive technologies, making things more sticky. No, joy isn't necessarily happiness or comfort or delight. In fact, some of those things can be obstacles to joy, right? No, joy is an incredibly simple and yet quite complex word. I've spent a lot of time connecting with, researching, and writing about the topic of joy, and I can tell you that it's actually what we all want. What do we all want? Well-being and success. Who here wants to be successful? If you're not putting your hand up, you're not telling the truth. I know I'm among high achievers. It's also why I love Fireside. Well-being and success. Now, success simply is the achievement of goals, no matter what they are. That's it. And well-being is having a positive relationship with our abilities and our limits. That's super important. Joy occurs when well-being and success exist simultaneously within us. But here's the kicker. In order to get there, we need to miss out. We need to miss out on some things to get there, right? You chose to miss out on something this weekend, right? You chose to miss out on work to be here at Fireside this weekend. We need to miss out on things to get there. But missing out doesn't mean less, okay? Because I think when people hear that, they're like, I don't want to miss out. Like, it's FOMO. Like, FOMO's been built into us for a solid decade through all of the different messages we've been receiving, particularly through social media, right? I don't want to miss out because it means less. I'm going to miss something. Missing out doesn't mean less. If you weren't in Florida earlier this week, you missed out on a hurricane, right? You missed out on your home being potentially destroyed or being hurt, or loved ones being hurt. Missing out simply means that one thing is present while another thing is absent. Now, the absent thing should be something that we don't want or need, but too often the things we're missing out on are the things that we actually need the most. Now, after hearing that, you might be thinking to yourself, well, it's not the same thing. I didn't choose to miss out on a hurricane. That's fair. But the point is that we're missing out all the time, whether we choose to or not, right? This is happening organically every minute of our lives. We're missing out on things. So, just gathering my thoughts here. Yeah, you're missing out on work today because you chose to, but you didn't choose to miss out on, like, say, living in 19th century France, right? When and where you were born was outside of your control, but it caused you to miss out on the life experiences of people living under any other circumstances in the world. There is an amazing party happening actually right now in Oslo. They have a crazy bar. Like, we have a pretty awesome bar, but they have a guy doing molecular gastronomy cocktails, okay? Right now this is happening. They have a DJ. We don't have a DJ, I'm sorry to tell you, but they have a DJ. Their DJ is a penguin. She's an emperor penguin. And her name is DJ Polar Bear. You're not there. If you got up out of your seat and ran to your car and drove for God knows how long along those highways to get to Toronto Pearson Airport and got on the first plane out to Norway, there is absolutely no way you could get there in time. How does that make you feel? This is where the fear of missing out comes from. The danger of forces like FOMO are not only in the lie we're told that it's possible to try to do, be, and experience everything, it's the lie we're told that it's possible to, right? FOMO's core messages, put your hands up if you can relate to any of these messages. I'm not doing enough. I don't have enough. I'm just gonna keep my hand up for these. I am not enough. Every moment of our lives is spent doing one thing to the exclusion of a literal infinity of other things, no matter what we choose. FOMO has also fed us a lie about what the good life is, because messages like FOMO tell us that success and well-being, which are the two elements of joy, this beautiful combination of well-being and success, at the same time, it tells us that they look one way. Flawless. Instagram, anyone? Expensive. Popular. I would add exclusive to that list, maybe. And never complete. This morning, I want to help you define your success and your well-being and synthesize them into a joy that is uniquely, profoundly, and humanly your own. And we're gonna do that through an exercise I'm gonna lead you through right now. And if you don't have one of these cards, I'd like you to put your hand up and maybe we can pass them back. Okay, awesome. Do you mind passing them out? Thank you so much. Here, I'll give you a few more. So I'd like you to take a look at them. They're two-sided. On one side it says JOMO means less of this. And on the other side it says JOMO means more of this. Teresa, can you pass these back too? Thank you. Thank you. So the practice I'm going to teach you right now is an extremely simple, an extremely practical, and an extremely powerful exercise you can do right now, and I'll lead you into how you can put this into practice as you go home. So it is actually rooted in a centuries-old contemplative practice called the examine. And like the word suggests, it asks you to examine yourself at the end of each day by asking yourself 2 questions. What's your dog's name? Love, like loves into it. Loves into it. Okay, awesome. So you have to ask yourself through the examine 2 questions at the end of each day. What today was most life-giving? And what today was most life-taking? And the reason why I know this practice is so effective is not only because it's existed for centuries, it's also because it's been renamed and repackaged so many times, and actually now has its own matrix within psychology called the toward and away matrix. And the idea is, and I know this as founders, most of you are founder. Put your hand up if you're a founder. Okay, and put your hand, then keep those hands up, and then put your hand up if you work for a startup. Okay. So I know, and whatever else you're doing, I know that you as high achievers, as founders, do not have time or margin in your lives to add in another thing. The reason why I'm doing this particular practice with you today is because it's about setting a direction. It's about setting a course towards the things that bring you alive and actually feed and fuel your well-being and success. So what we're gonna do in a little bit is we are gonna do this exercise, but once we do it, I want you to carry it around in your backpack or your fanny pack. We all have fanny packs now. I was gonna make a joke about how the coolest people here would have like a leather fanny pack and how I needed to get one. We all have fanny packs now. I want you to carry it around with you this weekend, and here's why. When you have an experience this weekend, like going ziplining, and it's so exhilarating, and the zip line here, you might not know, is into water, and it's like, I did it for the first time last year, it was incredible. You do the zip line, you come out, you towel off, you're walking back, and you're like connected to this feeling. Like that was so exhilarating. That felt so good. I want more of this. Maybe the more of this for you in that instance would be adventure, or openness to new things, or athletics. Or maybe you have an incredibly powerful and engaging conversation with an individual or a group this weekend. And after that encounter, you feel really good and you're like, I want more of this. I just need to have a bit more of that in my life. When you get a chance, when you're going to bed tonight and you see the card sitting there, I want you to jot that down. Conversely, this weekend, if you find yourself, and I'll just be vulnerable with you about an experience that I've had at Fireside, where maybe you walk into the dining room and it's full of people and you don't know where to sit, and you're feeling a bit awkward because everyone seems to have their friends, and then you start to have bad feelings, and maybe you walk out. I've done this and been like, okay, strategize, where am I gonna sit? And you're having those feelings. Maybe you're feeling you're second guessing yourself, you're comparing yourself, whatever that feeling is. You know, we're in such an incredible situation to connect to these feelings because we don't have distractions, right? For all of the good of the incredible technologies that you guys are creating each and every day, they can be incredible distractions from the feelings that we're having each and every day. And psychologists and some coaches will call those bad feelings the wisdom of disturbance. The reason those things feel bad is not because it's bad to feel bad. The reason they feel bad is because they're trying to get our attention. And so if you have an encounter like that this weekend, you're having a feeling that's not feeling so good, then I would like you to take the time, I encourage you, I challenge you to take the time to write those things down, because they're equally important towards moving you on the direction towards your well-being and your definition of success. So I did this exercise recently at my podcast launch party, which I Whoa! It's okay. Poor Love, this really freaked her out. At my podcast launch party, which I actually co-presented with an incredible Toronto-based startup called Artery. Who's heard of Artery? Okay, well, you got to hear about Artery. They're not here this weekend. We co-presented it with Artery, and what we did is we actually had people at the party, a lot of them founders, do this exercise, and then we posted them up all around the house as a conversation starter. So are you guys cool if I share mine with you? Okay. So I'm gonna share first my JOMO means less of this. Stressing. Fretting. Does anyone even know what that word means? Yeah. It's like a super old grandma word. To fret. I'm kind of obsessed with it right now. Less of this. Fretting. Unnecessary online time. Less unnecessary online time. Who can relate to that one? Less comparison. Less second-guessing myself. JOMO means more of this. Rowing. I did that this week. Laughing. We did that together this morning. And playing Velcro ball with my youngest son, Caleb. And I'm gonna ask Peter Katz to come up here for a minute. And we're gonna demonstrate for you what Velcro ball looks like. I didn't ask him this beforehand. I'm putting him on the spot. Okay, there's yours. Okay, have you ever played Velcro ball before? No. Yeah? Okay, so it's just like it sounds. It's a paddle with Velcro on it. Hear that? Boop. Okay. All right, so here's what I realized. Me taking 2 or 3 minutes out of my day to stop and play Velcro ball with my 6-year-old son, super life-giving for me. Actually supporting my well-being, actually connecting me to my child, which is supporting, almost. She's also supporting my success, because you know why? Our relationship is connected. That relationship is solid. Oh, that was a quick one. Well done. So I want you now start. Oh yeah, you're taking I love it. Okay. I want you to take 2 to 3 minutes and start writing your cards. And I'm gonna have some concluding thoughts. And these will be here all weekend. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. All right, thank you, my friend. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so 2 to 3 minutes, writing your list. And if you don't have a pencil, do you need, okay. Both? Okay, thank you. Anyone need more time? You're quick. You're very efficient. You've been trained well in your startups to be super fast. Awesome. Okay. Who knows the name of the guy who coined the term disruption? Anybody? It's your favorite term. Disrupt. No? Okay, his name's Clayton Christensen. And I find Clayton Christensen really interesting because when his Harvard graduating class asked him to address them, he wrote a short book, well, it was a talk, which became this little book called How Will You Measure Your Life? Which spends basically no time at all talking about disruption or raising venture capital or how market strategies, anything related to that. It actually talks about well-being. And in this little book, he says, we tend to imagine that if we pursue and accumulate the short-term rewards that our society has set up for us, wealth and material goods, that we can deal with the touchy-feely stuff later. You know, maybe in retirement, maybe when we've made so much money or gotten so far in our careers that we feel we can throttle back. Only to find that we just simply don't. Experience shows that we don't. In studying success and successful people, Christensen saw that people think this way. He said, quote, high-achieving people tell themselves that they could divide their lives into stages, spending the first part pushing forward their careers and imagining that at some future point they would spend time with their families or their closest friends, only to find that by then their families were gone. And this isn't meant to scare you. This is just meant to sort of set the tone in terms of how important these conversations are around how we actually sustain ourselves for the long haul. Because guys, we need you for the long haul. Your well-being is as equally important to your success. And again, let's go back to the definition of success. Success is simply the achievement of goals, whatever they are, right? They aren't what someone else is telling you to value. They aren't what the outward world is telling you is what success is. You get to define for yourself what success looks like. And if you founded a company, even more so, right? Because you set the terms, you decided. There's a lot easier things you could do with your life than found a company, right? That's for sure. Paulo Coelho said, postpone joy, it will diminish. Postpone a problem, it will grow. We need to address these core pieces of how we're going to sustain ourselves for the long haul. Joy occurs, again, when well-being and success exist simultaneously within us. So now I'd like to ask a couple of willing participants whether they would share a couple of their answers on their sheets today. Can I have 2 volunteers to share 2 of their more of this answers? Right here. Take breaks from responsibilities to recharge.
Contact with friends, up my contact with friends.
Contact with friends. Thank you. That's awesome. Over here.
Mine was spending no phone time with my daughter. I feel like sometimes we interact and I'm on the phone and I want to do more no phone.
No phone when you're with your daughter, yeah.
And I think the other part is just laughing a lot more at home and just enjoying the simple moments.
Awesome. So she said, for those of you who couldn't hear, because you probably couldn't hear over here, more no phone time with her daughter and more time just spending in laughter and enjoying simple moments. Would there be 2 brave people who are willing to share 2 of their less than things? And remember, this is not about, there's no shame in this. It's just like a disturbance, right? It's trying to get your attention. This is just something that we're wanting to pay. Yes, right here. Yeah, thank you.
Got a lot of health issues this year. And hustle, self-employed, it gets pretty
Yeah.
exhausting.
What was the first one?
Anxiety.
Anxiety.
Got some health stuff going
Yeah.
on, and it's hard to not be anxious. You just kind of be like, well, just get through it. And then hustle.
And hustle. Less of this. Hustle. Thank you so much. Right here.
Want to do less Reddit browsing?
Less Reddit browsing.
Sort of tied to that. Morning dawdling. Just like in the morning, reading Reddit. Kind of
Did you call it morning dawdling?
dawdling.
I like it. Less morning dawdling. Awesome. Thank you so much. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Just 2 minutes, quick. I saw many movies, and I often could not remember the end of the movie, even though I liked it. And I realized that was because when the movie was over, I went out to the world, and all this other stuff was coming in. And there's like a recency phenomena in remembering things. Well, the end of the movie got displaced.
Okay.
Everything coming in. So what I would like more of, something that I always did, was merely lingering.
Oh, I like that a lot.
Lingering at the end of something. Especially when you said, what is joy? Joy is something you don't want to leave.
Are you guys hearing this?
Yeah, you don't
Yeah.
want to leave joy. So joy can be over, but you linger there. And you instill it in your experience, your memory. And then the second thing would be merely listening to yourself.
Listening to yourself. Thank you. Oh man, you've totally caught me with that idea of lingering. Because, right, what do? We just move on. We just move to the next thing. One after the other until we're so exhausted that we can just fall into bed and watch Netflix and then do it all over again. Yeah.
This insight with the movies was way before digital even started.
Amazing.
Like 20 years ago. Why can't I remember the end of a movie?
I don't know. Last one over here. Thank you.
It's not a question, but
Oh,
it's kind of a
yeah.
follow-up to what you were saying. Are you familiar with Dr. Rick Hansen and his psychological research on the HEAL method, HEAL?
Yes.
So, kind of a brief synopsis. When you do something that's very enjoyable, watching the movie, or it can be anything. You smell coffee in the morning and it brings you that instant, oh, this is going to be a good cup of coffee, a good day, or you get a hug from your kid or whatever it is. Right after that moment ends, linger in it and really think about how it's making you feel. Pay attention. Did it make you relax? Did it make you smile? Did it make you pause and not see everything else going on around you and savor that moment? And if you can do that for at least 30 seconds, I'm not a scientist, but I've read the book, so it changes your neural pathways in your brain, and it actually recircuits your brain to then, when you have those feelings again, it's kind of like riding a bike. It keeps that good motion going, and it's just awesome. So now I do that. I'll have like a really good moment, and I just have to sit and linger. And my husband's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Hang on, I'm making new neural pathways."
I love it. Amazing.
Really absorb in that moment. So after you get done with your movie or whatever the good thing is, just really pay attention to what's happening in your brain and your body and your heart, and just absorb it.
Okay, I feel like that's an incredible place to end, and I'll just finish with this last thought. Thank you so much. I'm actually going to go and read that book because it affirms so much of this. Thanks to you guys, we are all going to live with technology for the rest of our lives, right? Thanks, guys. But we get to decide how, right? We get to decide how we make it and how we live with it. I just want you to sit with that for a minute. Like, you get to decide how, right? What that looks like, the lingering that you're talking about, right? Pausing long enough. We often are in this posture of, oh, well, it's outside of me, it's outside of my control. But actually, we do get to decide how we live with it. And if you need to get off tech, right? If you need a break, the simplest way to do that is find something else to do and lean into it. Lean into that good thing, the thing that lights you up, the thing that brings you joy. Velcro ball with Caleb, watching a great movie and being in it and being present to it, being among friends, whatever that thing is, active hobbies, these things that actually bring us life and joy. And that is how you experience the joy of missing out. Thank you. Stephen was originally going to be here for us to have a conversation about the vision and the decision around why Stephen and Daniel decided to make this a completely unplugged conference. He's not here. It's a conversation I've been wanting to have for a long time, so I'm going to have to do that on my podcast or in some other space. But I'm open for questions if any of you want to, or what's the experience, maybe we could talk about what the experience has been like for you to be in this space completely disconnected. Has it been different for you? What's been good about it? What's been hard? Are you guys up for that for a couple minutes? Yeah? Okay. Let's do that. Yeah.
I think leading into the weekend was interesting, telling people that I wouldn't be available to them, and the feeling I had from that of, a little bit of angst, but a lot of just, hey, don't expect anything of me for the next 3 days. And I'm just wondering how to build that into my life. Do I have to actually make an announcement and tell people I'm going to have more JOMO?
Yeah.
Yeah, JOMO.
Yeah.
And make it an event? Or how do you actually, anyways.
Yeah.
It's just an observation and I guess a bit of a question or something that we could talk about a little bit.
Yeah. So you're saying coming into this, it was kind of like you were kind of announcing it to people and the response to it, and kind of, are you asking like how to kind of protect more of that space?
I guess so, without making it a big deal or an
right.
event.
Yeah.
That I am going to linger and I might look a little bit odd for a few minutes or whatever it is, right? Maybe you just start doing it. Right?
Well, this is it. I mean, how I came to this whole work was that I disconnected from technology, from the internet for 31 days. And I often will talk about how easy that was. It was so easy because the decisions were just made, right? It wasn't an option for me to access stuff online. But as soon as I came back online, you're having to negotiate and renegotiate those things constantly. And that's where the exhaustion, and that's where it becomes incredibly difficult. So if you make that decision sort of once and for all, like Saturday afternoons from 1 to 4, I just turn my phone off and it's blocked in the calendar. I think that does allow for continuing forward with those commitments in a more meaningful way than having to negotiate that. Like Saturday morning and you're tired and like making the decision in the moment is so much more difficult. But are there people that are doing this in a way that works for them? I know I'm going to call out Payam over here, Payam Shalchian from the Edward B&B. Like how do you navigate that in terms of like when you're on and when you're off? Do you have protected time for when you spend time online and when you're not?
I'm not gonna lie, I'm not good at it at all.
He's saying he's not good at it at all.
Quite a bit. Not gonna claim that we know how to. There are a couple of like mental models that can kind of put you at a sort of mindset where you can say, you know what, I'm gonna actually turn it off. Also physically removing yourself from it, like actually like being not having Wi-Fi or at home, just cutting the cable helps. But I don't know any sort of magic formula.
I will say for myself, and then we'll get to you, is just, repeat it. Okay, I'll repeat hers. Okay, yeah. Is just what I said at the end, is finding something else to do and leaning into that thing, because when you find things that actually light you up and bring you joy, whether it's like you play D&D with the same group every Tuesday night, or in my case, I'm a rower and I row in a quad with a team, and there's like a community aspect and a physical exercise aspect and a nature aspect because I'm on the water. For me, that checks a bunch of boxes, and I'm not ever thinking about, an email or social media or work. Like I'm just there, I'm in it, I'm loving it. I think having more of those things already built into our lives makes it way easier to disconnect. That's what works for me. That's what I really encourage people to do, is just find those few things, Go ahead.
I was going to say, I'm not by any stretch an expert at this, but what I'm trying to do is be conscious of how I'm spending my time.
Yeah.
Multitasking.
Yeah.
Brains you actually aren't capable of multitasking.
Yeah.
Like it's just, you think you're multitasking, but brains can only do one thing at a time. So you're just rapidly going back and forth through a bunch of different things, which is inefficient and exhausting.
So she's saying she's trying to pay attention to what she's actually doing with her time. Continue.
Yeah, because you can't actually, your brain actually can't multitask, so you have to chunk it out.
And not multitasking, like single, batching things and having some deep work and focusing on a particular task. Yeah.
Choose, like I'm going to look at emails, they say pick chunks of the day.
Yeah.
And because it's like nobody's going to die.
Yeah.
And you pick these chunks.
Yeah.
And then stuff happens in between stuff happens.
Right. Yes.
I was just also going to say that for me, at least what I did this weekend is, because I'm currently working with a team of different people, and what I tried to do was I sent all of them like a message, and I was like, I recognize that me being away means more work for you.
Right.
But, and then I also bought them donuts.
Can you pause there so I can tell them? So she's saying she's got a team, and she wrote to her team before coming here that she realized that her going away is actually going to create more work for them, acknowledging that, which I think is really, really amazing. And also she bought them donuts, so that helped. But there was more to that, wasn't there? No, that was it. Okay. That's awesome. Yeah.
So I have a problem being in the moment here because I feel guilty that my wife is taking care of the children
right.
on the continent and I'm enjoying my time here, right? Is there any solution to this?
So he's saying he's feeling guilty because his partner's at home with the kids on the other side of the ocean, whilst he's enjoying being disconnected here. And is your question, so what is the question actually?
The question is, can I do something about this? Because it doesn't allow me to enjoy myself. Yeah.
Right. And he's saying he's not able to enjoy himself fully in it because that's in the back of his mind. Anybody have an insightful answer to this question? Right here.
I think you could have a tag team, so this is my time, but I'll let you have your time. And then you don't need to feel guilty because you both realize that you need time for yourself.
Yeah, but it's never going to be 50-50. I'm an entrepreneur. She has a comfortable job. It's never going to work if we try to do 50-50.
Right. So she is suggesting that they trade off, where when he comes back, she could have some time, but it's difficult because he's an entrepreneur and she has a regular, consistent job, and it's just, those things are never in balance. Rick?
The other thing I wanted to say about that is just give yourself permission to enjoy this, because this is special. It'll be over in 3 days.
Right.
We'll be back to real life. So enjoy the moment, because it will not come again.
And you're not serving her by whipping yourself and feeling bad, right? I think she'd probably prefer that you be here, right? You've come all this way, right? Don't squander it. Like, be here, right? Enjoy. Yeah, yeah. Oh, here.
It's like if I had 3 days, you get 3 days.
Right.
I just want an hour at a massage parlor.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Pedicure.
Yeah, asking her what she wants is a good start. Okay, I will be here for the rest of the weekend. Thank you all so much. Have an amazing rest of your day.